Pure water, pure water. Oh wow, I love the Tyrone Street, man. Let's go ahead and make it rain. Put on your rain boots.
This is the shuttle's fuel tank. It may only be 130 miles to space, but to cover that distance, the engines will use 500,000 gallons of fuel, and that works out at 2 feet to the gallon. Despite the cost, however, NASA does need to test these engines once in a while. So they built this place in the wetlands of Mississippi. The first thing they installed was a huge loudspeaker, through which they played white noise to simulate the sound of a rocket. They then sent a number of trucks in different directions out into the wilderness, and the drivers were ordered to stop when the noise levels became acceptable. This gave them an imaginary boundary line, and anyone living on the inside of it was offered a simple choice. Stay, and you'll never hear another television program as long as you live. Or take the NASA shilling and get out. No one stayed, and NASA ended up with exactly what it wanted. 125,000 acres of nothing.
125,000 acres of your land, Negro, in Mississippi. 125,000 acres just because they punked you out of there. Well, shit, I guess so. Nobody wants to go deaf. Man, we got the pure water and we got the poison.
They even had to move 5 cemeteries, because the noise they were planning on making would wake the dead.
Wow.
Don't worry if you can't hear what I'm saying. I couldn't even hear myself. This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive. And, as it turns out, the cleanest.
They are making clouds in front of your face.
Now, the most amazing thing is that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain.
Oh.
I told you. It's raining.
It's raining.
That's unbelievable. Oh. NASA's playing God.
NASA's playing God. Any questions? So we just saw NASA make it rain in Mississippi, create a cloud and make it rain. Now what is it raining? Pure water? Is it raining pure water? Love the Tyrone Street, man. So, okay. We'll get back to the weather war. You know what I'm saying? We'll get into some drive-by in Michelle as well. Love to the sister. And some drop from you, man. Some drop from you, man. Some drop from Hood to Hood 1000. Love to the bro. You know what I mean? So let's just go quickly. We got a lot to cover. And, you know, just sit back and keep strapping up them boots, man. Because it's going to get mighty wet. But our issue is the quality of the wetness, man. The quality of the rain. Again, NASA is doing this in your face.
They even had to move 5 cemeteries, because the noise they were planning on making would wake the dead. Don't worry if you can't hear what I'm saying. I couldn't even hear myself. This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive.
Fake clouds.
And as it turns out, the cleanest.
Fake clouds.
Now, the most amazing thing is that that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain. I told you. It's raining. That's unbelievable. Oh. NASA's playing God. It's making it up.
NASA's playing God. So what is this doing to your land, your crops, you know what I'm saying, your food? This is one small example, and this looked like it took place decades ago. So just imagine today. I mean, how do you decipher a real cloud from a poison one? And if you can mentally accept reality that just like the Indians were poisoned and their water supply was poisoned, wow, you were poisoned and are being poisoned by high-tech fake clouds, fake rain, poison water, poison food. And at some point you have to wake up and say, no mas, no more, man. Whatever it takes, we have to be in reality together. Much ahab to the family Armani Galid. Armani Galid dropped this link about the Rothschild drop, man. Remember we got the Pope drop before, how the Pope came out and said, hey, man, y'all gonna have to give up this corporation thing. We're gonna get that again. But let's start off, man, with this Armani drop. We just surfing away with Drop Nation, man. Oh, man, we got some beautiful drop poetry dropping in here, man. From the sister, we like to keep the poetry flowing. We got some great poets, some great artists. Oh, yeah. Our sister, Katrina Taylor, dropping that pure water drop, man. Keeping us, real wavy. Love to the family that is truly walking through this door, man. You know what I'm saying? Dropping the fear, dropping the hijack. You know what I mean? Any way that you want to support us, whether it's a poem. Obviously y'all leave great comments. We appreciate you for that. We're going to really appreciate you listening and giving us your feedback on the radio and all that. That's going to be something new for us. So, we're doing it right. And we're keeping it all the way. Real spill, man. Making sure that we are hijack free. And please dig on this poem by the sister Katrina Taylor. She says, we're all mad here. Increase funds for schools to program the little ones. Siphon off to pay for the necessary luxuries. Test overseers in the motor states. Stir toxic waters for the new age slaves. MJ told you they don't care. Fat cat movers and shakers cry out. Take our country back. And the minions go running to lead the charge. What? We sick? They sing. Happily selling their souls for the patriotic cause, disguised as right. In hopeless pursuit of a place at the big table, eyes glaze up to the pillars who never cease. Trying to get back the crumbs falling from their lips to yours, feeling strange and insatiable appetites urging you to fight. When you don't even know why, the patriots do the bidding so well, their corporate masters, and then call the niggers stupid. The niggers, niggas, round the homies' way, wear the badge of shame proudly. The only option, once your heritage is stolen and genocide becomes the norm. Resourceful, them niggas. I mean, niggas, nagas, negus, nagas, spinning gold out of all the shit they get, but shh, keep that down on the low. Fertile ground that spawned civilizations hijacked by a parasite, and now we all gotta pay a dose of love for the common good will settle the bill if you're up to the task, like for real. Such is the thwarting of humanity's progress now. Become the zombie land. Mother, father, children, humans, all hues, man. All hues, food into the fool's errand of pointing fingers and blame the 99%, and the 1% wins, gleaming fames as captives. Wave the banners high to the parasite feeding, sucking the future dry for all our children. Nobody wants to hear the truth, especially them that deem themselves good and charitable. The doomed Diversas demons. Then the sister went in. Amado Diallo, 22, shot 41 times, unarmed. Manuel Logan Jr., 31, shot 3 times, returned to his car with his daughters, Bible in hand, unarmed. James Brissett, 17, shot fleeing Hurricane Katrina on Danziger Bridge, unarmed. Ronald Madison, mentally disturbed, 41, shot in the back 7 times, fleeing Hurricane Katrina on Danziger Bridge, unarmed. Kendra James, 21, 5'2", shot and killed during traffic stop, unarmed. Sean Bell, 23, shot on wedding day in 50-bullet hailstorm, unarmed. Eric Gardner, 43, choked to death, unarmed. Michael Brown, 18, shot at least 6 times, unarmed. Alton Sterling, 37, shot multiple times at close range, unarmed. Philandro Castile, 32, shot sitting in the car with child and girlfriend, hands up, unarmed. Akil Dinkins, 24, shot in the back multiple times, unarmed. Gregory Gunn, 58, tased, beaten, and shot 5 times, unarmed. Cowboys and Indians. Samuel DeBose, 43, shot in the head during traffic stop, unarmed. Brendan Glenn, 29, shot in the back, unarmed. Freddie Gray, 25, spinal cord injuries due to questionable circumstances. In a vehicle with police, Freddie was shackled hand and foot and unarmed. Natasha McKenna, 37, tased to death 4 times with hands and ankles shackled, unarmed. Walter Scott, 33, shot 5 times in the back, unarmed. Christian Taylor, 19, shot 4 times, unarmed. Ezell Ford, 24, shot multiple times while laying on the ground, unarmed. Akai Gurley, shot and killed in the stairwell because elevator was broken by rookie cop, unarmed. Laquan McDonald, 17, shot 16 times, unarmed. And you know the list goes on and on. Rest in power. I know, right? Is that you fall asleep? You fall asleep yet, man? Does that put you to sleep? You still sleep? And that's not even a teeny tip of the iceberg. Let us go merrily down this bloody stream, leaving the future for the children to come to fix so we can enjoy the spoils. Can we talk about something else, please? Next. And so it goes, as we're all mad here. If y'all don't come over and show your love, if y'all don't come over and leave your wonderful comment, man, leave your reply and show your love, show your aha. My sister just dropped another one today, man, so go surf the wave, man. Love to Ty Battle, love to Katrina. Our sisters are getting it popping on the poetry. Brothers, where you at? You know what I'm saying? Brothers, send me your poetry, man. We'll put it up in the drop poetry, man, and you see how powerful it is. You see how impactful it is. You see how necessary it all is to surf the wave, to remember. We're just talking about that drop poetry, man. And yeah, shoot, man, we dedicate a whole drop, man, to poetry. You know what I'm saying? Go all the way in on it. truly surf the wave. All right, so let's get into this drop from the family Armani. I think it's right here on the home page. So we're gonna get into it, man. And this is, it should anger you. That poem should anger you. It should anger it. Anger can be good. Anger can be good when you got foundation. If that's what makes you get up, if that's what makes you wake up. Now, what do? You can't just wake up and go into chaos because you have no foundation, no order. They're expecting you to have no order. What do you see these protesters in the street? They got no order. Where do you get order? Where is order already established? In your land. Go to your natural grid. Go to your mountains, your trees. Go to your natural grid. Start getting indigenous. Start learning how to make a fire. Start bonding with your energy grid, and you will find your order, your Hawa. But these concrete cities are going to kill us all. These concrete cities are built to kill us all. If you don't know that by now, check out this drop. Armani Gali left this for us, man. We'll get some of the Pope drop, man. We'll get to that, some more of the weather wars. Ernest Rothschild issues cease and desist orders to all keepers of the royal assets. All keepers of the royal assets. All keepers of the royal assets. We're talking King Charles V. King Charles V cutting off the Inca. All copper color. Yeah, they look like you. They're the royalty. Right, they're calling them. This is King James. Look at his brother. So where did it flip? Where did it switch? I mean, remember Ben Franklin? Ben Franklin had his, giving you plenty drop in the observations concerning the increase of mankind, peopling of countries by Benjamin Franklin. Let's just get the last paragraph. He says, which leads me to add one remark, that the number of purely white people, I know this is small, so you pull it up. He says, Benjamin Franklin says, which leads me to add one remark, that the number of purely white people, so-called white people, in the world is proportionately very small. He said, all Africa is black or tawny, Asia chiefly tawny, America wholly so, not chiefly, wholly. Africa is black and tawny, Asia is chiefly or mainly tawny, he's saying, brown. America wholly, the whole America is brown, so-called black, okay? Copper color, races found here. And in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are generally what we call a swarthy complexion. Swarthy. You don't get it? You don't get their lingo? Swarthy. Dark skinned, olive skin. What are olives? Black, right? Black olives, dark skin, swarthy. So dark skin, he says all of Europe, Spain, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are all dark skinned. We can't make this up. This is reality. You accept it, you get with it, you get left on, but the whole table looks like us, except for a small slither. He says white people are proportionally very small. He says the Germans also are all swarthy. The Saxons only accepted, who with the English make the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. The English and the Saxons. And we even know the Saxons, they're getting from Isaac, Isaac's they're Isaac's sons. And you know, they're not so-called white either. So they're really just trying to go around this English thing, right? Now you're speaking English. Remember, I could wish their numbers were increased. Oh, if only we can increase these white people. And while we are, as I might call it, scurrying our planet, sounds like they're saying they're infesting, diseasing our planet by clearing America of woods. So you, Negro, are just woods, all right? And so making this side of our globe reflect a brighter light. Here comes Zeus. To the eyes of inhabitants in Mars and Venus. Body bag. I can't make this shit up. This motherfucker just said we're gonna bring Mars and Venus. Who is their god of war? Who is their Zeus? Who's their Isis? Who's their same old so-called Egyptian Atlantean hijack? And so, making this side of the globe reflect a brighter light to the eyes of inhabitants in Mars or Venus. Why should we, in the spirit of superior beings, they're talking Mars and Venus, celestial, darken its people? Why should we darken its people? Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America? Don't bring anybody over here. There's plenty of them already over here. Don't bring no one over here, which lets you know they didn't bring all y'all from over there because you were already here. And he said, don't bring no more niggas over here. Where we have so fair an opportunity. We don't have enough opportunity as it is. Don't bring no more swarthy over here. By excluding all blacks and tawnies of increasing the lovely white and red. But perhaps I'm partial to the complexion of my country. Perhaps I am partial to the complexion of my country. For such kind of partiality is natural to mankind. Well, if you're partial to the complexion of your country, Benjamin Franklin, then we are also partial to the swarthy, dark-skinned complexion of our country. Our America. And even you say America is wholly swarthy, wholly tawny, wholly black. And we know America is so, because every time we look at your definition, even before you gave us the drop, Benjamin Franklin, we know that America, Native America, is originally applied to the originals or copper color races found here, not brought here, found here by the European. But now your title's given to them born here, which means it was stolen. Your Khan. We'll get back to the Khan because we are talking dragons today. But now that we got some definition of who the blackness is referring to, Black King James, Black King Charles, King Charles V, King Charles V. Now we know who the royals are. Don't think they're white people. These people just are playing middleman on your ass. This is who is controlling the board. This is Psalms 83. This is Psalms 83. This is Moab, Ammon. These are all confederacies against the copper color race found here. The Khan. The birthright. The Hebrew Ame'rican, the tribes. You had a war against brothers that look like you. And they brought in the people that they helped create to rule you. And do treaties with them that they helped create. The creations. Dig on that series, man. Now we can dig on it. We're going to get into this Preston John and the Gypsies, too. Love to the sister Allah Israel. Alright? So we got a lot to do. I'm just going to flow with it from here, man. Now that we got a good intro. Hold on, man. Where's the drop? Here we go. Here's the drop. Alright, man. We got the pure water flowing at all times, man. Hold up. Let's get this water flowing over here because it's about to get real, you know. It's going to piss you off. I'm going to tell you the truth. But now that we know who the royals are, at least have solace in the fact that your peace of mind is the clarity that's coming. Alright, we got our pure water flowing. Let's rock it. Love again to Armani Gali.
Apparently authentic and tangible reports that Happy Sunshine, boys and girls. On my channel comments, somebody found something from the desk of HEHRH, Royal Prime Minister Ernest Rothschild, the United States of North America, the Republic of North America. And Diana found it and was wondering what it means. And so we go here, it's SlideShare. This is a document. Royal Family Asset Settlements. I can tell from this thumbnail that it's from the 20th of August of this year, so 8 days ago. So we click on this, and we're going to blow this up full screen for
8 days ago, people. 8 days ago. This just dropped. Let's go.
everyone out there following along. I don't know if this is a bona fide document, if this is valid, where it comes from. I don't have a way to vet this yet.
Surfed away.
But it's out on the line, or it's out online, and you guys can go check it out yourselves. I'll leave the link down below. This is mind-blowing, guys, when we get into it. From the desk of HEHRH, Royal Prime Minister Ernest Rothschild, the United States of North America, the Republic of North America, and Chairman of the Royal Imperial Federal Reserve System. Wow. In reference to ICJ/ICC asset settlements. And this document is addressed to all keepers of the royal assets. The royal assets is every first letter of those words is capitalized. So this is a very.
So if your assets were stolen by the Confederacy that looks like you, then they hire management or corporations to manage or keep the assets. Now you're the assets, Negro. You're the assets that don't know what tribe you from. You're the assets that have been erased. They sold you from here. They took your gold. They need you. You're the gold. You're the copper. You're the assets. You're the dragons. You're the assets. Protecting the energy, protecting the dragon grid, the dragon lines. You're the assets. They're the keepers of your assets. They're calling themselves royal because they've stolen your Khan, they've stolen your priesthood. So now they're royal, and now they're managing, they're outsourcing. They're outsourcing the assets, and other people are keeping them. They're the keepers of you.
Very proper term, the royal assets, and all keepers. Very interesting. Peace be upon you all. This is an update from the perspective of the ancient royal families, aka the royals, of the current serious world events, especially those unfolding in the Middle East and the BRICS countries. Discussed are the real issues that are manifesting on the ground, as well as the concerns of the royals regarding the behavior of the global community towards the royal assets and concerns over their keepership in general. So let us start with a bit of history as an introduction. Who are the royals? The ancient royal families, not to be confused with the kings and queens of the current day, or the dragon one, or the dragons ones hears about, are hardly mentioned in the news, and that is how it is supposed to be. The royals for millennia have been looking after the...
You gonna have to comprehend something, man. Who are the royals? The ancient royal families. Now I know They're pretending to be you. But they have their own, so-called royalty. This is James, and the tribes of Esau and Moab have their own kings and stuff, right? So they're royals in their own right. But do they come from the royal seed that has inherited the promised land, the fountain of youth, Garden of Eden? Now they're calling themselves dragons, or are they referring to you? Who's the royalty? We're all we're all royalty, we're all great. This is Lady Andros. Alright, these are the Picts and the Rooses. They are royalty. Now these royal families were going to war against other royal families that look like you too. They were going against you. This family was going against this family. This family used so-called white people to manage their corporations. They are the Psalms 83 Confederacy. Now they want it back. Now they're not happy with how the keepers are managing the assets, which is you, which is your royal, wealth, your land. They want the land. They want their assets back. They're not happy with the managers. Who is the royalty, the ancient royalty? Who is painted on their walls? Huh? Not this guy. Oh, the real Alexander, huh? Look at this brother. Brother. This is a family, and these are the albinos, which means that this is the dominant gene. So what happens when you have a race of albinos? They call themselves white people. See how the albino pops up? Always know where you come from. Yeah, man. Who are these royals, man? The Moorish proud Queen of England, Charlotte. Alright, so now you got Charlotte, North Carolina. You see her hair, her woolly hair. Okay. Yeah, man, all you gotta do is look a little deeper. All you gotta do is look a little deeper and look at their own statutes to get the drop. Look at all these dreads on their walls. Look at all these dreads and locks on their wall. Who are the royals? Who's on the shields? Who are the Moor? Look at these brothers going to war against these albinos. These brothers, look at how dark this brother is. Going to war against the albino. Look at the sister with her albinos, man. This is Charlotte. Alright, this is the family going to war against the other Moor, which is you. Who are the royals? Edith of England and Otto I, Holy Roman Emperor, married in 929 AD. This is what royalty looks like. Copper color. Let's go. Oh, we're going to get to the bottom of this.
The planet, its treasures, its land, and occupant under the covenant known as mandate from heaven, quote unquote. They are answerable to the galactic councils. The royals own the title deeds of all of the lands and are the ones who own the title of the quote unquote public land. All the remaining land as being under...
So they currently own all of your land. Remember, like Harmar broke down, the government is holding 770 million acres. Why are they holding 770 million acres of your land, Negro? Because the royals own it. Or the fake royals are owning it. Those that consider themselves royal and they steal from royalty. They stole the royals. They stole the jewelry.
Fair use keeping, quote unquote, and are backers of all currencies in the system. As stewards of the planet, they sublet the land to implementers, quote unquote, who look after the running of the land for the benefit of its upkeep and that of their occupants.
All right, man. We gotta, just read this. This is probably saying, this is telling you it all. Who are the royals, the ancient royal families, not to be confused with the kings and queens of the current day, or the dragons one hears about are hardly mentioned in the news, or the dragons one hears about. So who are the dragons? Who are the OG dragons? Protecting the dragon lines, the cross, the energy grids. Remember, Jerusalem is the dragon's lair, the vortex, the umbilical cord of this earth plane. The dragons ones hear about are hardly mentioned in the news, and that is how it is supposed to be. The royals for millennia have been looking after the plane, its treasures, its land, your land, its occupants, you, under the covenant known as mandate from heaven. This is Psalms 83, Confederacy. Their mandate from their celestial heaven is to enslave you into perpetual servitude. Papal Bull, Diversas, 1452. They are answerable to the Galactic Council, the celestial, below the barrier, not the greater light. The royals own the title deeds. So the other Moor owns your title deeds of all of the lands. Now that matches their Morocco Ame'rican map, right? Ham and Kush, all the lands. How do you get all the lands that the Creator has given us? And are the ones who own the title of the public land, so all your national parks, your Zion, is all owned by them. All the remaining land as being under fair use keeping, and are the backers of all currencies in the system. As stewards of the planet, they sublet or sublease the land to implementers, corporations, United States of America, LLC, who look after the running of the land. They are your landlords. So this corporation is just landlords. You pay taxes to the queen, remember. You don't pay taxes to, the government. You pay taxes to these royal families, these so-called royal families, not your real ancient royal ones, but the ones that are at war. You're paying taxes to the who? Holy Roman Emperor. Oh, the queen, all the same. That look alike you. Who are the royals? Who are the royals? Alessandro de' Medici, Duke of Penne, and also Duke of Florence, ruler of Florence from 1530 to 1537. Wait, Columbus came here in 1492, and this brother was the Duke and ruler of Florence? Do you see the family war going on? So-called white man don't enter the war until, 1776? Now he wants independence from who? These black royals. So they go capture your black ass to work for these black royals, claiming independence. But in reality, these black royals now just really want their independence from you. Why you? Because this is you. This is, you've been rulers. Now they want your lands and titles, right? Now they want you, right? I mean, how do you go from this to bows and arrows, Negro? How do you go from being suited and booted, I'm talking Camelot, I'm talking Excalibur, to bows and arrows? Choose your reality. So they have sublet this place to these landlords on the Baal.
Sometimes other ancient families become implementers, and if implementers use force and coercion, then they are termed as dragons. For example, Queen Elizabeth II is an implementer and not part of the royals, so this should not be a matter of confusion. Some
So you see how they flip it. So since they have this fear of what they're calling the dragon line or dragon grid, then any implementer coming from them, they call dragons. Because the Most High has implemented law here for so long that that's what they refer to as something being implemented by force. The Most High has implemented by force his law here. You rock, you cool. You don't rock, you get wiped out. You come in a pure water frequency, not killing and stealing, cool. You come over here and kill us and steal us and implement your law, then they call that dragons. Just like they say pros and cons. Now con is a bad thing. Con man, convict. Everything con is negative now. They flipped the positive to negative. So look what they did to dragon. Now it's referring to Queen Elizabeth. Now it's referring to implementers of force and coercion. Because that's how they view the creator. They feel like the creator is forcing them. They don't like the fact that the creator's tribal by force. Joshua by force. So they call that dragon. Let go.
Sometimes they are given to groups or parties to form governments and therefore use their central banks to manage some aspects of the interference between the royals and implementers. In recent history, the Committee of 300 was used for this interface, but now this organization is no longer in operation and a new one is in the process of being set up. What are keepers? All of those working on behalf of the royals as implementers are also called keepers. Keepers have the obligation of the upkeep of the assets under their remit, including looking after earth, heaven, natural resources, water, and air, as well as the living beings therein and the people who are benefiting. They are also responsible for the safety of the treasures stored in the land and are not to touch them or handle them without explicit consent. Part of these treasures are those held for the future.
So they can't touch them. That's why they make them national parks. That's why they haven't touched over 1 million acres in the Grand Canyon. Over 1 million acres have not even been touched. Why? Why? Because they are responsible for the safety and treasures stored in the land, the gold, the treasures, and are not to touch them or handle them without explicit consent from who? The royals, the so-called royals, the galactic. They need consent from fallen angels to touch that stuff. But the fallen angels know that's out of order. That's out of bounds. They can't touch that by royal decree from a royalty or a greater light that they can't fuck with. So that's why they can't touch your land. And when you're in order, they can't even touch you.
Future of humanity, and others are brought from outside of the planet for safekeeping on behalf of the different galactic councils. So, quote-unquote governments are keepers looking after the land called countries and their people on behalf of the royals. For the royals to manage these countries, then corporations, with the same name as the countries, are used to manage the accountability of such keeperships. And their central banks are then associated with these corporations and their accountability. And isn't it interesting, the address here, 1701 Pennsylvania Avenue, Suite 400, Washington, D.C.? I mean, this is right by the White House, guys. What are global agreements? As long as the keepers are looking after the people and all the assets under their keepership, the royals normally let the keepers be, with 70-year global agreements, mandates used to manage the keepership programs. The last 70-year agreement made with the royals was in Bretton Woods Conference in 1944. This agreement included the agreement on release of funds into the system and the major global development programs to uplift the developing countries into a better state of being. This agreement ended 70 years on during 2014 with a temporary extension taking place, having the last funds made available as of middle of October 2015. after which all global accounts were returned back to the royals. As of the beginning of January 2016, no new agreements have been made and no new release.
So time is up. Is that what you're getting from this? They go off 70 years agreements, right? All right. And that shit was up in 2014. That's why the Pope issued his letter in 2014 that we got before. So, as long as the keepers, the corporation, is looking after the people, which are you are prisoners of war, Negro. They came to your land, brought a Hebrew interpreter, and declared war on you. You are the Hebrew Ame'ricans, the Khan dynasty. You are the real dragon. You're the last dragon. And looking after the people and after the assets, your shit, under their keepership. The royals normally let the keepers be as long as they keep it trill with them in their mandate. With a 70-year global agreement, mandates used to manage the keepership programs. The last 70-year agreement made with the so-called royals, this Moor Confederation, was in Bretton Woods Conference in 1944. 70 years later, 2014. This agreement included the agreement on the release of funds into the system. So they went bankrupt in the major global development programs to unlift the developing countries, all right, into a better state of being. Okay. This agreement ended 70 years, 2014, with a temporary extension taking place, having the last funds made available in the middle of October 2015, after which all global accounts were returned back to the royals. The corporations bankrupt. As of the beginning of January 2016, no new agreement have been made and no new releases have been effected. The corporation is not even in effect. They're operating illegally right now. A new agreement is currently being put forward called the Global Peace Treaty. Remember, their peace is not your peace. They came to declare peace because they only get peace when you're in captivity. You only get peace when they're in captivity. The Global Peace Treaty, details of which are being finalized before the presented to the global community. So you keep hearing about this global peace, global. Anything global is hijacked, and their peace is not your peace. And your shalom, your shalom is devouring their order over their chaos. That's your peace. That's your shalom. Shin, devouring.
Releases have been effected. A new agreement is currently being put forward called, quote-unquote, the Global Peace Treaty, details of which are being finalized before being presented to the global community. What are keepership violations? During the latter part of the Bretton Woods Agreement years, and ever since its ending, there have been a worrying trend of violations and offenses that have taken place against the global assets and the keepership system as a whole. But before going into these violations, let us look into the different types of offenses that the royals are noticing, which are of concern. Type 1 offenses are those who directly, aggressively come against the royals and or assets. The remedy is complete removal of the aggressors and the forfeiting of their keepership, as well as the removal of all others that have provided material, logistic support to them. Type 2. Offenses are those that have been mishandled Type 2 offenses are those that have mishandled royal assets. Like exposing the assets without explicit authorization, the remedy is the forfeiting of their keepership, as well as all others that aided and abetted in these crimes. Type 3 offenses are those that have neglected their keepership role, like neglecting the defensive assets and or not providing enough logistical support for their upkeep. The remedy is the forfeiting of their keepership and restoring the damage caused. It is clear from the above that the royals regard the upkeep of keepership as an important part of the global system and view with seriousness any violation committed by the keepers. What violations are or about to take place? Wow. There are a string of violations that have or about to be taking place, for which a stringent warning is now given with associated cease and desist and imminent declaration of loss of keepership. There are currently gathering forces attacking ancient royal assets in both Syria and Iraq, as well as others waiting in the wings in readiness to join in the attacks. The royals view these attacks and these gatherings as directly coming against the royal assets, and therefore are type 1 offenses and violation of keepership. All parties are hereby warned are to cease and desist and are now given imminent declaration of loss of keepership. All parties are to return back from whence they came and to stop the attacks immediately. All countries
return back to where you came from. Cease and desist, corporation. Your keepership is up. Your 70-year mandates are gone. You're operating illegally. All parties, all illegal parties saying they're still operating as a corporation are to return back from whence they came. Wherever you say you came from, go back and stop the attacks immediately.
Intelligence agencies, military, families, and other organizations.
Listen. All countries, intelligence agencies, military, families, and other organizations who are not involved in these violations are to stop immediately and go back. A declaration of loss of keepership, including enforcement action, will immediately follow if even 1 foot is placed into any of these 2 countries by the participating parties. Furthermore, all countries that harbor or support such groups are or are not in control of their internal keeps to stop these groups from freely operating within their religions or their regions and their religions, which have committed type 3 offenses and violation of keepership. Similar warning and actions are to be acted upon them. No further warnings will be given. Go back to whence you have came. Go back where you came from. Stop the attacks immediately. Stop immediately. Cease and desist and go back. That is a declaration from these royals.
Who are involved in these violations are to stop immediately and go back. A declaration of loss of keepership, including enforcement action, will immediately follow if even 1 foot is placed into any of these 2 countries by the participating parties. Furthermore, all countries that harbor or support such groups or are not in control of their internal keeps to stop these groups from freely operating within their regions.
Remember, 2 countries, we're talking North and South America.
Will have committed type 3 offenses and violation of keepership. Similar warning and actions are acted upon them. No further warnings will be given. Furthermore, there are currently royal assets being exposed for either sale, theft, or placed as guarantees in the financial system. None of these sales or guarantees are authorized by the royals or have the blessings of the royals. If in doubt, then please contact myself or the relevant authorities to validate these transactions. The royals regard these illegal activities as type 2 offenses and violation of keepership. This includes but not limited to the BRICS Bank, which has illegally used the guarantees of royal assets without explicit authorization. All parties are hereby warned, are to cease and desist, and are given now immediate declaration of loss of keepership. All parties are to turn back all the assets and guarantees to stop the violations immediately. All countries, intelligence agencies, military, family, and other organizations who are involved in these violations are to stop immediately and restore the assets.
Restore the assets.
A declaration of loss of keepership, including enforcement action, will immediately follow if further violations have taken place by participating parties. No further warnings will be given.
Restore the
Furthermore,
assets.
there are currently authentic and tangible reports of planet Earth shortly to go through an extended period of severe space weather events affecting the lives and livelihood of everyone on the planet.
Wait, this was issued 8 days ago, people. We got Harvey, we got Irma, we got some other shit. Furthermore, there are currently authentic and tangible reports of planet Earth shortly to go through an extended period of severe space weather events. Space weather, artificial weather, celestial weather, affecting the lives and livelihood of everyone on the planet. I can't make this up. This is directly from them.
As well, severe disruptions to the normal way of life. The setup of contingencies for the general population and contingencies for all of the royal assets are hereby expected to take place by all keepers. All keepers are to report back to the royals their preparation plans for the overcoming of such events. The lack of reporting or contingency or the disruption to smooth running of services under their keepership will be regarded as Type 3 offenses and violation of keepership.
So they're issuing their new world order, their global order, and it ain't got nothing to do with the white man when you get down to the drop of who's behind it and who is recalling them, who's recalling the managers, who's recalling them, who are the royals really, who are the royals really, who are the royals really. How did it go from here to you not knowing yourself? How did it go from here to you not knowing your tribe? How did it go from here to you not giving a fuck about your land and your birthright, yet they own all of your land and all of your birthright?
A declaration of loss of keepership, including enforcement action, will immediately follow if violations are found to have taken place. No further warnings will be given. Furthermore, there are currently authentic and tangible reports that royal assets under the keep of the Vatican is reportedly under threat of attack by other groups as a way of settling internal scores. The royals view these.
So now they're fighting for your money.
These attacks.
They're fighting. They're getting attacked. The royals are getting attacked by other groups. What groups? Other people that want your shit.
Will be regarded as directly coming against royal assets and therefore are Type 1 offenses and violation of keepership. All parties are hereby warned, are to cease and desist, and are given now immediate declaration of loss of keepership. All parties are to cancel their plans of attack immediately and to start negotiating to resolve the issues between themselves. The use of prohibited weapons will not be tolerated. The royals are not interested in being absorbed into mediating such issues between keepers. All countries, intelligence agencies, military, families, and other organizations who are involved in these violations are to stop immediately. A declaration of loss of keepership, including enforcement action, will immediately follow if even one royal asset is negatively affected by the participating parties.
So y'all want to go to war if even one of us is affected. If even one of the royals is affected, not the white royals. Surf the wave. If even one of the royals is affected, it's on and popping. So we're not going to mediate between keepers or countries. They're just keepers. They're not the real reality.
No further warnings will be given.
Wow.
Furthermore, there are occasions when reports circulate of some keepers preparing to use weapons of mass destruction, WMD, in their conflicts, to be in control of the situation. The use of WMD on their own regions or against the keepership of others are by necessity Type 1 offenses and violation of keepership. All parties are hereby warned, are to cease and desist, and are given now imminent declaration of loss of keepership. All parties are to cancel their plans of weapons of mass destruction attack immediately and to start negotiating to resolve the issue between themselves. All countries, intelligence agencies, military, families, and other organizations who are involved in these violations are stop immediately. A declaration of loss of keepership, including enforcement action, will immediately follow if even one royal asset is negatively affected by participating parties.
Bang.
No further warnings will be given. What are the next steps? These due warnings are hereby given, and is expected that such warnings are heeded by all keepers.
Oh.
Failure to heed such warnings, and if found that the violation has taken place, then the royals reserve the full right to take any remedial enforcement actions necessary against the individual keeper and all those who are supporting them. These matters are viewed with seriousness by the royals, so should similarly be done by all keepers. All keepers are aware of their keepership responsibilities, and therefore these warnings are not conditional on the individual keeper receiving such warnings. For this document is just a reinforcement and reminder of the responsibilities and consequences of violating the keepership agreement. Accordingly, this shall serve as legal notice to all keepers that the royal families directed that all asset settlements shall be processed and sanctioned by the Royal Imperial Sovereign International Court of Justice, ICJ, the Royal Imperial International Criminal Court, ICC, the Royal Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System, and the Royal Sovereign Government of the United States of North America, the Republic of North America. Therefore, all keepers are hereby instructed to process all assets and accounts under their guardianship for settlement by and through the Royal Imperial International Court of Justice. There shall be no other entity nor governmental agency sanctioned nor licensed to receive nor redeem global assets and collateral accounts without the sanctioned authority of the Royal Imperial Sovereign International Court of Justice. The ICJ licensed sovereign royal judges shall have full authority over all global assets and collateral accounts. Further, all keepers of assets and collateral accounts are just that, keepers, not owners, nor do they have the power, authority, and jurisdiction to sell assets, negotiate, nor dictate settlements. The ICJ have original and exclusive jurisdiction over all settlements of royal families' assets and collateral accounts. Failure to adhere to such original and exclusive jurisdiction shall be subject to criminal prosecution before the ICC. If any keeper has queries regarding the above, then please contact the royals or myself to discuss the said concerns. Sincerely, Ernest Rothschild, Royal Prime Minister, 8216 to 8270, the United States of North America, the Republic of North America, the Family of Nations. Carbon copy, the Royal Imperial Sovereign International Court of Justice, the Royal Board of Governors, Federal Reserve System. And then
Any questions?
there's quite a bunch of stamps on here. One of them is the United Nations stamp with the azimuthal equidistant map. Wow, guys. I really don't have any comments to say what this is, one way or the other. I've got my suspicions, but I'm going to leave this right now as an unvetted, unverified document that I found on the internet because somebody clued me in to the fact that it was there. It's dated August 20th, purportedly from Prime Minister Ernest Rothschild.
August 20th from Rothschild. All right. Well, hey, we're vetting it. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go ahead and, use some comparative analysis to this Pope acting as the U.S. military. This is what we got. Go get that drop. Pope acting as U.S. military commander and chief. And this was September 2015, which was really 14 when they... Let's see where it starts. Let's go back to the top. I might have just passed it. All right. So this is from Pope Francis, declares war on Obama, July 4th, 2014, issued to all members of domestic police forces, U.S. Marshal Services, the Provost Marshal, members of the American Bar Association, all the legal, so-called legal folk, and American Armed Services, these organic American states of the Union known as the United States of America, major, exercising plenary civil power upon the land, hereby appoint General Carter F. Ham to lead and command the Grand Army of the Republic, GAR, and its successors under the guidance of Joint Chiefs of Staff and with their full support should it become necessary to suppress commercial mercenary forces. This is all the alphabet gangs operating under the guise of being federal government agencies, including but not limited to the Department of Homeland Security, the Federal Emergency Management Administration, the Internal Revenue Services, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearm, etc. General Ham shall assume immediate command and control of all armed forces and services owed to the United States of America, major, stationed in North America, and shall join them under his command as the Grand Army Republic. All forces of air, land, and sea are to be employed. The Pope is calling, he dropped this on Obama in 2014. Any cost or loss suffered as a result of deployment of the Grand Army of the Republic shall be charged as a stipulated prior. All efforts shall be made by the Grand Army of the Republic to spare life and property while undertaking any action whatsoever within the states of the Union without exception. The GAR is uniquely enabled by these orders to operate on the land of the 50 organic states for the purposes of securing the lives and property of the American states and American state citizens. The GAR is not a foreign army. Really? The GAR is not a foreign army and is composed primarily of American state citizens. I think it's a foreign army, don't you? If required to take field positions, the local commanders shall make every effort to communicate the basis of their authority and the reasons for their presence on the American state soil to ensure a prompt ceasing of hostilities and a widespread understanding of the usurpations and acts of fraud which have led to any conflict. All parties must be brought to understand the nature of the federal government, the limitations of its authority, and their own obligations to act in favor of the organic states of the Union. The Grand Army of the Republic shall continue to operate under General Order 100, known as the Lieber Code, extend from the pen of the last Republic President Abraham Lincoln. No orders, executives, or otherwise issued by Barack H. Obama pretending authority. Barack Obama pretending authority on the land of the American states. Pretending keepers, corporations. Barack Obama pretending authority on the land of the American states while operating as quote-unquote president of the all caps United States Corporation, nor as the president of the United States of America minor. There's a major and a minor United States are owed any performance by the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Ham, or any ordinary, all plainly stated grants or contractual authority evident in the Constitution for the United States. See how the U is lowercase on United and the states is capitalized. This is all their syntax. Let's go. States of America remain in place subject to good faith performance of the accompanying obligations and treaties. Mr. Obama is the president, quote unquote, of the Governmental Services Corporation, keepers under contract to provide stipulated services to the organic states and is on their payroll. He otherwise acts as a foreign dignitary representing the United States of America minor. In neither of these capacities is he allowed any granted authority to impose upon American state citizens. So the same goes for the current so-called president. Endanger American state property or command mercenary forces on American state soil, however veiled as foreign or federal civilian service agencies. We require the Joint Chiefs of Staff and General Ham to commence measures to disarm federal civilian agency personnel. So now they want to disarm all members of all federal agencies, all alphabet gangs, and seize control of the vast stockpile of arms which have been improperly amassed by the Department of Homeland Security, FEMA. Got FEMA in Houston, right? They're operating illegally. And other agencies employed by the United States in all caps, which is a corporation. The only federal agency allowed free egress on the land of the American states is the U.S. Marshal Services. So the Marshals, according to the Pope, is the only one operating legally as far as their mandate. And then only when their personnel are engaged in their duty to protect the U.S. mail. So the Marshals can only act to protect the mail, the Postal Service, man. They can't jam you up. They're only there to protect the U.S. mail, and sworn to act as constitutional officers. All other federal agency personnel are limited to unarmed service until further notice. So no police departments, no, agencies can carry weapons. Only the marshals, and that's only to protect the mail. And this is from the Pope in 2014. This combines with this particular document that we're just reading now. The only federal agency allowed free egress is the Marshals. We direct the Joint Chiefs of Staff to communicate these first two general civil orders directly to Mr. Obama, the members of the U.S. Congress, the administrators of all federal agencies, the members of the Supreme Court, and those acting as governors to compel their rapid understanding and cooperation. Any expense or damage incurred by the organic states or any American state citizen as a result of actions undertaken by the federal agency personnel acting as armed mercenaries or American state soil will be understood as the result of violent crimes committed against the peaceful inhabitants of the land. So any agencies that say they, want to be armed mercenaries, that's what they're calling them. Since they're not listening, they're now being called mercenaries. As a result of violent crimes committed against the peaceful inhabitants of the land, and will incur immediate judgment, liquidating the assets of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the Federal Reserve. That's why they're broke. They took back all their assets. In payment of the stipulated reparations, such crimes shall also be considered contract default, increasing the public debt subject to bounty. Any and all corporate officers of the United States, all caps, or any successor organizations inheriting so-called federal service contracts who support, condone, or promote such crimes against the American states or American state civilians shall be subject to arrest and prosecution for commercial and violent crimes. All foreign officials operating as elected or appointed officials of the United States or America who support, condone, or promote such crimes against the American states or against the American state citizens shall be subject to arrest, confiscating of their arrest, and deported to Puerto Rico, Guam, or such other states as may be willing to receive them. They're going to be deported. Such foreign officials include members of the American and British Bar Association. So we're talking legal, who were licensed to act as privateers against the interests of the American states and American state citizens from 1845 to 2013 in flagrant breach of trust. All such licenses are now extinguished. So they extinguished all legal bar licenses to operate and called it a flagrant breach of trust. So all legal fields dealing with bars in Britain and America have now been extinguished. Members of the bar associations are required to cease and desist assaults against the American states and American state citizens, and shall be subject to arrest, confiscation, and deportation otherwise, insomuch as corporation officers operating in the United States of America, incorporated in United States, all caps, have contrived under conditions of fraud and semantic deceit to revenue the estates of the American states and living American state citizens to the foreign jurisdiction of the United States of America minor. They are found guilty. They are found guilty of capital crimes, including acts of fraud and treason committed between 1933 and 1945, and are condemned posthumously, insomuch as elected officials operating in the United States of America minor have similarly committed war crimes against the United States. the American states and their peaceful inhabitants during the same time. War crimes, you're prisoners of war, Negro. They stand condemned posthumously. No enforcement upon any American state or American state citizen is owed as a result of the any act of Congress operating as a sovereign government of the United States of America minor, nor as the board of directors or board of trustees of any incorporated entity whatsoever. All these E states, S states, E states, S states, erroneously believed to represent the American states and American state citizens, and which were conveyed by fraud and legal deceit to the United States of America minor, and more recently to the city-state of United Nations, and revenued without exception to the geographically defined American states and the American state citizens, where they shall remain in perpetuity as assets belonging to the rightful and lawful beneficiaries. All legal fiction companies, entities, however structured and named after the American states and American state citizens, are returned to them and their control, free and clear of any debt. So if you have a fictional name, all caps, or you have any contract, anything you sign that has your name in all caps is called a legal fiction entity. He said, however structured, named after the American states. All right, that's your corporation, that's your corporate entity, American state citizens. Your legal name that they took from you at birth, they created a straw man. They have you signing contracts underneath your corporate name, your corporate title in all caps. He's saying all that trickery, all that technology is done. We're going to return to them their names. We're going to return to them their control, free and clear of any estate, man. Let my people go. No debt, promise, encumbrance, or obligation alleged against them as a result of false claims. Straw man, all caps. Wow, let's go. False claims made in their benefit, on their behalf, by officers of the United States Corporation and the United States, all caps, Incorporation, or by the foreign officials operating in the United States of America minor or the United Nations city-state, falsely claiming to represent them or have jurisdiction over them. Now, here's the doozy. We note that the current circumstances is in part the result of the criminal acts engaged in 150 years ago. How do we know we're talking about the so-called Negro, the copper color race found here? The copper color race found here by the European. How do you know we're talking about the copper color Negro, the Ame'rican? How do you know we're talking about the con? Because when they take your con, they take your priesthood, they call themselves royal, and now they're managing you. How do you know we're talking about you, Negro? We're talking about the criminal acts engaged in 150 years ago, which resulted in the commercial enslavement of African Americans, Americans, copper color tribes, waking up thinking that they from Africa, right? Commercial enslavement of copper color Americans who were similarly claimed as chattels back in U.S. government debt in the wake of the Civil War, despite every action of abolition and declaration or prohibition against both peonage and slavery. It has been the policy of the U.S. government to enslave its citizens. I think they got that from the dumb Diversas Papal Bull, right? And to operate as a rogue state among the nations of the world instead of freeing African Americans. Let my people go. Give the American back his title. Give the con back their title. No more deceit. No more tricknology. African American, so-called Negro. Instead of freeing Negroes, the sum total result of the Civil War was to vastly expand public sector ownership of so-called slaves, man. Copper color Negroes, giving rise to the outrageous and improper claims that have been made against the American states and the American state citizens. We're still talking Negro, that we are dealing with today. It is uniquely fitting that the Grand Army of Republic is recalled to settle this circumstance in favor of the people, in favor of the American copper color tribes. Who are you? And what's your true heritage, man? What's your true heritage, man? And who is against you and who is for you? And what does the war really look like? And what's really going on, man? Let's see if we can get into some of these weather wars. Because remember what we just got. See what we got about the weather here. Let me get the weather drop. Furthermore, there are currently authentic and tangible reports of planet Earth shortly to go through an extended period of severe space weather events affecting the lives and livelihood of everybody on the plane, as well as severe disruptions to the normal way of life. And this is what they're constructing. This is what we saw at the top when they made the fake cloud. Let's see, man. Let's just pick it up right here, man. And take it back. Drop Nation, what it do? You know, we kept the pure water flowing the whole time, so you know we got it as pure water as we can, man. But sometimes the truth is still going to be an uppercut. You know what I'm saying? The drop is still going to be an uppercut when we get the babies out the bath water. Love the hood, man. You know what I'm saying? I think we're just going to dismount with this. May possibly pick it up with a part 2 or not, you know what I mean? But let's just go, man. Hood to hood 1000, keeping it 1000 at all times, man. Let's get this weather drop. Let go.
The home of A-Town Radio Nation. Turn this up.
Yo, hey. Observe, brothers. Observe, sisters.
Wake
Uncle
up.
Sam, Uncle Tom, Big Brother, the whole family's coming for your left fist. Picking sides ain't gonna make change. Learn your principles. You rap a revolution, but you work for the institution. When will you declare your destiny? When will you obliterate all or associate with the forged realities of the day? Insubordination is a lie. Young Africans, you are blinded. There will be no resting in peace. There is no alternative. Re-evolve into your uneasiness of song. Compliance does not exist. Hear the sounds of your alarm. No snooze will soothe the tears on the pews. Music, muses, blues, and yellows. There will be no resting in peace. But what is revolution? What is solution when no knowledge of the problem? See, you? Stay woke, stay broke, stay choking on my pride. If my phone rings, please know that I'm inside myself. My eyes burn blue, for they sizing up your time to be through with cold calling. I'm reading you, feeding you, bleeding you. Wake up.
Now this really blew my mind, y'all, when I was doing this research. It went on to say, weather, not W-H-E-T-H-E-R, W-E-A-T-H-E-R, the weather, like outside. The weather will be manipulated to affect production and demand of food exported from other countries. Now you know that's deep. When they've actually developed the technology to cause weather control. Brothers and sisters, look at the person next to you and say, we really need to open our eyes.
Yes, sir. Another question on the in an interview with the Los Angeles Times on April 21st, you said that you told the Associated Press that the American government has created weather tampering techniques so that the New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans and to control the rest.
Starve.
Would you explain what you were trying to say?
Well, what I was trying to say is exactly what I said. There is weather control techniques. We have a complete package on that, which I did not bring, but I certainly will see to it that it is brought in for the record. Number one, the entire patents on the equipment. Number two, Senator Claiborne Pell's complete statement and story of his own that not only does it exist, but that we even utilized it as far back as the Vietnam War. You might want to touch base with Senator Pell.
I just want to repeat before I turn to...
So yes, but we do have all that information.
You're saying the government has created weather tampering techniques so that the, quote, New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans,
worldwide,
and to control the rest.
Yes, sir, and that's my belief. As bizarre as that sounds, if somebody had told me that that equipment even existed 10 years ago, I would have thought they were nuts, sir. And at this point in time, we have all the documents to prove it. And if you think that 85 tornadoes takes place in the middle of our growing area by simultaneous accident, I'm sorry. With the equipment that's already set up internationally, and as bizarre as that is, it is proven and documented. We will supply you with those documents. As bizarre as that is, I would say that weather wars, and this is quoting actually Senator Claiborne Pell himself, that they are the greatest weapon ever created in the world, and that's the senator's own statement. So yes, that
the greatest weapon ever created.
Observe.
The greatest weapon ever created. Let go.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher. Thank you, Mr.
This is an excerpt from David Icke's video called Agenda 21, The Plan to Kill You. Here he discusses weather manipulation as a tool of the United Nations Agenda 21 to displace populations and bankrupt independent farmers, to reduce global populations by placing control of all food resources into the hands of giant New World Order corporations like Monsanto. Catastrophic flood in Louisiana is the most recent example of Agenda 21 tactics, along with the ongoing drought and the related wildfires in California and the west coast of North America. The trademark of government-sponsored false flag terror events since 9/11 is when the vast technological resources of government agencies somehow fail to forecast a catastrophic event. In this case, it was a 1,000-year flood event of biblical proportions that was missed by NOAA, the National Weather Service, and the wizards at the Weather Channel. But we now know that the ability to relocate weather systems with electromagnetic weapons and skies seeded with conductive aerosols is the key to the creation of artificial global warming to deliberately increase surface temperatures and melt Arctic ice. We must act now to stop deployment of these eco-weapons in order to restore a natural global climate, to return rainfall to the forces of nature, and to stop the melting of Arctic ice by weaponized deployment of aerosol chemicals and electromagnetic directed energies.
Now, there was a film came out earlier this year called Hunger Games. And this encapsulated in so many ways the society where the global warming bollocks is supposed to take us through justification. Of course, if you look at the symbol of the film, it's the phoenix, the firebird. For those who haven't seen it, it was a world sometime in the future of enormous total control, where different sectors were fenced off and people were not allowed to go in most of the land of the country, and they were controlled from something called the Capitol, which was an elite that was served by all the poor people and hungry people around the country. And we have a version of the Hunger Games, and it's called Agenda 21 Sustainable Development, and it is being orchestrated outside or through the United Nations, and it is a stalking horse, a Trojan horse for world fascism, as I'm going to go through and explain. Agenda 21 was agreed at the 1992 Earth Summit in Brazil, which was headed by this guy, Maurice Strong, one of the gang big time, a mate of Al Gore. And he said, Maurice Strong, this billionaire oil man, etc., he said, isn't the only hope for the planet that the industrialized civilizations collapse? Isn't it our responsibility to bring this about? What they are trying to do and planning to do is use saving the environment, which these buggers are destroying, to justify deindustrialization and the end of democracy. Anyway, this is the wish list in documents for Agenda 21 operating through the United Nations. An end to national sovereignty, all justified by saving the world, by the way. An end to national sovereignty. State planning and management of all land resources, ecosystems, deserts, forests, mountains, oceans, and fresh water. Agriculture, rural development, biotechnology, and ensuring equity, equal slavery. The state is to define the role of business and financial resources. Abolition of private property is not sustainable, they say. Here we go again. How many times has this come up? Restructuring the family unit, children to be raised by the state, people told, this is what Aldous Huxley said in Brave New World, people told what their job will be, major restrictions on movement, creation of human settlement zones, I'll get to them in a minute, mass resettlement as people are forced to vacate land where they live, for reasons I'm coming to, dumbing down education, achieved a long time ago, mass global depopulation in pursuit of all of the above. And what they're doing to hide it is they're setting Agenda 21 organizations up in all local communities, all over the world, America, Britain, all over the place, and they're giving the impression that each of these is basically an independent local community initiative, when it's all being orchestrated through this organization, through the United Nations, called Local Governments for Sustainability. Get them off the land? Well, get them off the land through weather manipulation. We're seeing this big time now. This is HARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project in Alaska, now connected to many other similar things around the world. In short, it bounces radio waves of high power off the ionosphere in the higher atmosphere, bounces them back to Earth, and can do many, many things, including create earthquakes and piece of cake manipulate the weather.
HARP can do anything. I know it's a little low, but you know, HARP can do anything. Create the weather, earthquakes, everything you're seeing around you. You don't know if it's real or fake. You don't know if the clouds you see in the air are real or are they fake. You know what I'm saying? What's the drop, man? Again, like I said, man, I was going to say much love to the sis La Israel. Left a great comment. Everyone leaving great comments. Love to you. Okay, don't think I'm crazy, but a lot of our people don't watch the Game of Thrones because they don't see the hijack. But so many things just resonate with me, and it was something that seemed familiar with Mother of Dragons. Who's the real Khan? And then I was going through the library and started reading the Gypsy and President John, that the Gypsies and President John sojourn. And I couldn't believe what I was reading. The English philosopher Roger Bacon said the reptile that the Ethiopians eat is the dragon. Ethiopians are eating the dragon. Ethiopians are eating the dragon. All right. So Ethiopians, Indians, dark skin, Moor. We have tribal war, more on more. So which Ethiopians are eating the dragons? When you're when you're put in captivity and you're thinking your dragons are a myth, do you know that they are Ethiopians eating? Remember, Ethiopians is a generic word for dark skin or swarthy. It's not a place. It's just a region of wherever you are. So somewhere there's a region of swarthy people that are eating dragons. For it is well known that wise Ethiopians have come to Italy, Spain. I can't make it up. Spain, more Ethiopian, more Spain. Let's go. Oh, yeah, we'll get that next time. More Ethiopians have come, or more Moors have come to Spain and Italy, France and England, and those countries of the Christians, so-called. All right, you're the Nestorian. They're calling everybody a Christian. King David's a Christian. Moses is a Christian. We're talking about the drop, where there are good flying dragons. So they're saying that these Moors or these Ethiopians are coming to Spain, Italy, France, England, and those countries of the Christians. We're talking the Americans, where there are good flying dragons, and that by occult arts which they possess, they drive the dragons out of their caves and partake of it against accidents of old age, meaning that they are being replenished. When they eat the dragons, they get younger and prolong their lives and make their intellect subtle beyond all estimation, opus majus. So they get smart, they get young when they eat this dragon, all right? So when they eat you, they get life. They get life when they eat the dragon. Remember, Moses' staff turned into the fiery flying serpent, and whoever it bit, it gave them life. Whenever they eat of it, they get life. She said, wow, my mind is blown. My mind is just asking 1,000 questions. And also I could just read that the Chinese love and worship the dragon. Who's the original Chinese? And say that they descend from dragons. Who's the dragons? Who's the real dragons? And this drop is right here, man. I'll leave it for you. Prester John and the Gypsies. You got to dig on it in the drop library. Prester John and the Gypsies. And the sister's right, man. It has it right here. There's an interesting paragraph written in the 13th century by English philosopher scholar Roger Bacon in the same exotic strangers in the Western Europe called Ethiopians. So we're talking about Ethiopians in Western Europe. Ethiopians in Western Europe. Who's ruling Europe at this time? Let's go. So these Moors, the reptile that these Moors eat is the dragon, for it is well known that wise Moors, since we know we're talking about West Europe, have come to Italy and Spain and France and England and those countries of the Christians, so-called, where there are good flying dragons, and that by occult arts they possess. They drive the dragons out their caves, so they use magic to get the dragons out. And they have an art of preparing their flesh, and they partake of it against accidents of old age and prolong their lives and make their intellect subtle beyond all estimations. It is not necessary to speculate here that these so-called Egyptians were in fact gypsies. Remember the gypsy drop? All right, Egypt gypsies, with permission of the Pharaoh. We're just talking more. Oh yeah, we're talking the royals, right? So these gypsies or Egyptsies were perceived and treated on their first verified arrivals into West Europe in the late 14th century. To explain part of the reason why gypsies were well regarded and well treated on their first arrival, we can turn now to a discussion of Prester John and his legend. And we're just talking about Prester John, the person, the letter, and the legend of Prester John. The letter of King David, 1165. Check your timelines. Check your drop. And we'll be right back, man. Keep digging on the drop library. Hawa, Hawa. You already know, man. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your aha. Tribe up. Vibe up. Stay up. Suit up and choose up.